Good evening. How is everybody doing? It's Saturday night. On the 24th of January. Time flies, doesn't it? Like, didn't we just celebrate New Year's Eve? And now we're already at the end of the month. After this weekend, we're gonna be hearing about the cars driving in Barcelona. So even the season is already hurrying up. Hello, Tom Veer, and I see Christina, Martin from the Lonely Cyclist. Tom Veer, have you been waiting all this time? Because you wrote that hello message ages ago. You guys are some die-hard fans. I really appreciate it. So yeah, I see all over Formula One content creation. I see people doing this video. So I thought I just make a little live stream out of it. Next week I'll probably do my predictions for all the drivers and all the teams for the standings for 2026. I always like to do that early. Just going by the rumors and feeling. And yeah, what I've done here is I've ranked all the drivers or the lineups, and there's some surprises in there. Because I'm gonna rank how good they're gonna be this season, and I think there's some guys who will benefit from the position that they're in, and some of them will struggle because of the new regulations, for instance. So, wait a minute, Martin. Why are you saying I can't find the start button? I have started. I have sound, don't I? Yeah. Let's hope this is a live stream without any of the problems I had last week. Because I really didn't like that. So I'm just going to yap for 2 more minutes and then I'm going to start with the content. So yeah, I looked at several things on why I think some lineups are better than the other. Samantha just said hi in the different account. Tanvir, what do you mean? For you, it's all right. Maybe Martin needs to restart his whole YouTube. And then he'll see what I'm doing here. Hello, Hank. How nice of you to join as well. And there's Samantha with her original account. Hey, honey. Thank you for joining. Let me restart this. No, Tanvir, last week the issues I had were my own mistake. I pressed screen share, and then I forgot that the sound um, gets played as well. So I had this echo in an echo in an echo in an echo, and it looked really messy. Hello, Martin. There you are. I pressed the start button at exactly 8 o'clock. And it's 5 past 8 now, so I'm going to get started. Uh, I prepared one of these again. So this is the whole grid. And I'm going to turn this into a short in to post tomorrow or something. You know, I like to refurbish my content to share it on different places. You know? So yeah, there you go. That's the 11 teams with 22 drivers. I wonder if they're going to make it, if they're all going to make it to the end of the season. It'll be interesting to see. Like, Flavio Briatore is still in charge of Alpine, and if Colapinto has a couple of crashes, then he'll kick him out, no doubt. Okay, so let's start with the team I have in last place. Okay, so in rank 11, I have Bottas and Perez. Now, you might think that I have a beef with these guys, but I don't. Um, but I think it's going to be an exceptionally hard year for them. And I don't think both of them will see the next season. But I also included the reason for it. A nice transition. The reasons for it are slow adaptation. Now, Bottas and Perez in their prime, yeah, when they were say 26 to 28, um, they were in a very set of regulations, like um, the 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 V6 hybrid era regulations. They lasted for 8 seasons with very little change, and Perez was doing really good stuff in the midfield by keeping his tires alive and yeah, you know, always ending up in decent positions. And Valtteri Bottas had the W11, the W12, um, the W10. He had all those cars underneath him, and actually, yeah. And this is where he done his best performances. But you notice as soon as the ground effect era started, yeah, things started to change. Now Perez did manage to end up second in the standings in 2023, but yeah, the RB19 was a very powerful car. And I think those guys at their age having to drive these gimmicky cars with battery deployment and different cornering and all the stuff that these young guys will figure out in a minute, that stuff they need to figure out, and I think it'll hamper them big time. And then on top of that, but I don't want to spoil next week too much, but I think Cadillac is nowhere next season. I'd be very surprised if they are any good. So yeah, that's why I have Bottas and Perez as the worst team lineup, even though together they have like 16 wins. But I'm just looking at the pairing for these regulations. Like this pair in a midfield team in 2017, they would have rocked, you know. But in 2026, with their age and um, these weird regulations, I don't think they're gonna go anywhere. Okay, so what are you guys talking about? Hank says rumors go Christian Horner is in negotiation with 24 share. Um, yeah, I've heard that too. He wants to buy into Alpine. Um, it's the only team that will have him. Hank says Perez is very good at start-stop circuits where the rear is traction limited. Okay. And Tanvir says, I mean, Cadillac will be a back marker um, as they're a completely new team. This is what I think as well. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, in rank 10, and this is going to piss people off, I have Stroll and Alonso. Now, I have to judge the whole pairing, yes? And I think, but let's go to the reasons. I don't think Alonso can lift Stroll out of being Stroll. So the first reason is Stroll tax. He's weighing that whole team down with just driving laps and not doing anything special. And the elephant in the room, Alonso's age. He's going to be 45. And yeah, he's getting grumpier and moaning about being unlucky. And you know, I I don't think Aston Martin is where they thought they would be. You know, in the last couple of years, they've been saying like, yeah, we're building this and we're getting this, and um, as soon as we have this, then you'll see the results. But I think 2026 is still too early. Like when Adrian Newey went to a new team, they didn't start winning straight away. That always took a couple of years. So, um, I think Alonso paired up with, say, Hulkenberg, they would definitely be one of the better pairings. But with Stroll weighing everything down and Alonso getting older, I think, yeah, they're the 10th pairing on the grid. Let me see if people agree with me. Tanvir says, I would give that a 7, not a 10. Yeah, okay. Everybody has their own opinions. Hank is complaining about advertising. Yes, I put advertisings on again because in that hour you might get 3 blocks of ads. I'm actually using YouTube Premium, and that's a godsend, honestly. Every video I start, boom, it starts playing straight away, and I've got all these options. So, YouTube, I hope you're listening. YouTube Premium is brilliant. Please give me loads of views. Christina says Alonso becoming a father also could change his performance to more I don't care anymore. Yes, and I think the whole Alonso going for it is what kept him going for so long. But if the car's disappointing and he's going to be a father, he's going to say at one point, hey, what am I doing here? I might as well do something else, and that won't make him quicker. So yeah. Tanvir says, I mean, Honda power unit rumors are concerning. Yes, I've been hearing stuff as well. And Hank says, Alonso is still capable of pulling some rabbits out of the hat on occasion. This isn't enough to outweigh Stroll. Exactly. This is exactly my point. And Christina agrees with me that YouTube Premium is. Mwah. That's nonsense. Wimbo, no free adverts. Yeah, but this is YouTube. Okay, let's go to the next pairing. Gasly and Colapinto in rank 9. Okay, so second season is because Colapinto is officially in his second season because he did some races for Williams. That wasn't a full season. And yeah, last season was his first full season. And usually these rookies, they always struggle a bit more in the second season. So that's pretty much my only thinking. And so far, Colapinto, besides the points he scored in Williams, has never really impressed me. And the points he scored in Williams was because the Williams car at the time, 2 years ago, had really high peaks at certain tracks. So it was crap on a lot of tracks, but on certain really high speed tracks like Monza, the car was really fast, and that's where he could benefit. He was also pretty crashy, so that's gonna have an effect, I think, especially with these weird regulations. And then Pierre Gasly, I love the guy. I'm glad he revived his career after what happened at Red Bull. I'm glad he won races and scored podiums. So that's all just, yeah, I really like him for that. But he is a midfield driver, you know. He he excels at like a team like Alpine if they can make it, you know, um, in the upper midfield, so P5 in the standings. I think that's where Pierre Gasly would do wonderful. I don't see him as a lead driver in a big team, you know. So, um, Christina said, wasn't it Gasly himself who said he's going to fight for a World Driver Championship in 2026? Yes, but these drivers, they need to keep telling themselves that. Otherwise, they won't be able to train this hard and stick to their diet and um, do what they have to do all year round. Um, as soon as a driver says, "Yeah, I'm happy enough to play second fiddle in a shitty team," then they get even slower. So obviously, all these guys, all 22 drivers, think they can win a championship, and the worst ones out there, they'll even blame other factors for not becoming a world champion. So, yeah, they need to believe in their own fairy tale to keep doing it. Hank says the Alpine was very unstable to outweigh the power offset. Okay, well, I hope they're going to fix this. They're going to be a little bit better with the Mercedes engine. And I also heard that Alpine done a filming day, 200 kilometers, and the Mercedes the engine didn't have any reliability issues, and neither did it have reliability issues for the filming day Mercedes did themselves. So, yeah, that's all good stuff for the Mercedes engine. Christina says, but the Alpine car is supposed to be at least not to be over the weight limit. I've heard that as well. That's one of the few teams that reached the exact right weight. Tanvir says we can say Gasly to be like Sergio or Bottas at a front runner team. I think though those guys are pretty comparable, except that Gasly is 6, 7 years younger than those guys. And Martin says, as Max said, if you don't believe you are the best, there's no use in competing. Well, and that all these guys think that way. Okay, next pair of drivers. Hülkenberg and Bortoleto driving for Audi. So the reason why I think, what number were they? Oh yeah, rank 8. Okay, the reason why I think they rank in 8, which is already a little bit better, than being last, is that Audi's going to be the. I'm spoiling too much, maybe, but they're going to be in the lower regions as well. And yeah, it's going to be hard to show what you can do when the material isn't all that. And I think both drivers will make the best out of it because they're a decent pair. Hulkenberg has the experience, and Bortoleto has the youthful enthusiasm. I also think that Bortoleto will beat Hulkenberg because he's a sim driver. He's from the same team as Max, and I think Bortoleto is gonna get on top of these weird regulations quicker than Hulkenberg, who's also an old guy. I think he's the same age as Bottas and Perez, or maybe 35. Does anybody know how old Hulkenberg is? Hey, there's Fibbit a bit. Thank you for joining, Fibbit a bit. Always nice to see you. Hank says, I saw footage of the Mercedes and the Red Bulls, or the Racing Bulls shakedowns, both on a wet track and both looking twitchy while accelerating out of the corners. Okay, it's a little bit off topic, but I'll allow it. But I think if these cars are being driven at full speed, then they're gonna have more downforce, so they're gonna look less twitchy. Tanvir says, I think Audi will be in the lower midfield like Sauber was in 2025. Yeah, I think so too. But that makes it very hard for, a driver pairing to really stand out. Because if a driver goes from P16 to P11, he still has no points and it gets forgotten quickly. Especially if you do it with strategy and no spectacular overtakes, then nobody will actually notice it. Christina says, I guess they don't bring the best package to those shakedowns, Hank. No, I think. Is Hulk 38? That makes him older than Perez. And Bottas. Yeah, he made his debut in 2005 or 6, didn't he? Hank says, that's my expectation too. Audi started late on the engine. Sauber improved massively in 2025. Yeah, Jonathan Wheatley there. Mattia Binotto there. I think James Key is also at Audi. That's a name you see popping up all the time as well. So yeah, Audi might get there, but it's going to take a few years. Yeah, Martin, winning Dakar and winning WEC to winning F1, that's quite a big leap, But they're serious about it. They're very serious. So that's a good thing. Okay, and the next. Rank 7, Lindblad and Lawson. Now, on one hand, they're inexperienced. Yes? So that would rank them a little bit lower. Now, I've watched a couple of these um, rankings, like from the race, for instance, and um, they had the Racing Bulls at not last place, but in P10, just because Liam Lawson never really impressed, and Arvid Lindblad is a rookie. He's the only rookie of the season. So, but I think with these new regulations and all the drivers needing to get used to how it all works, these youngsters have a benefit because their brains haven't set into a certain way of driving yet. I was listening to the Red Flags podcast today, and they had this Australian fella who is a driver coach. I forgot his name. Um, it was an Australian fella with an Italian name, like Ricciardo. But anyway, this guy was talking about how Lewis Hamilton did really well in the V6 hybrid era because uh, he could brake really late and then turn the car on a dime and then hold enough speed to get out of the corner. And these really heavy, sluggish ground effect cars wouldn't allow for it. So he struggled. And then he kept pushing Mercedes to try and make the ground effect car to his liking. And obviously that didn't happen either. And yeah, now he's trying to implement all kinds of things in the Ferrari car. And I don't know if Ferrari is listening or we have to see this season. But anyway, Lewis Hamilton has a preferred style of driving, and he finds it very hard to adapt to a new style of driving. Even though when he started, there was a different regulations than when he scored most of his championships. So that was one transition he could make. But I think these youngsters, they'll catch on fairly quickly, and that's why I have this team of young guys who haven't much experience yet in P7. That's my reasoning. Um, mm, mm, mm. Okay, Christina says I think Audi might be a force to reckon with among the midfield. Okay. And Martin says Lindblad had a first crash of the season, just off track in gravel pit, no real damage. Yeah, it was wet, and yeah, don't know what happened, but these things happen. James Key was booted from McLaren. He was quite good with the scraps he was offered at Toro Rosso. Okay, I didn't know he was at Toro Rosso as well. You know who else is at Toro Rosso or at Racing Bulls now? Dan Fallows, away from Aston Martin and joined Racing Bulls. Nice. Christina says rookies might be very strong drivers with those new regulations, while older drivers might take more time to get used to it. This is exactly my point. Because like muscle memory and stuff like that, these guys are like more blank canvases. Yes, and it's like, do I need to approach the corner this way because of reasons? Okay, I'll do it this way, and then boom, it clicks. Whereas the older guys, they're like, yeah, but I always used to drive these corners in a U shape and not in a V shape. So what am I going to do now? And then race engineer will say, Lando Norris is 2/10 quicker than you in turn 9. Okay, but how can I copy this? I don't know. So yeah, that's going to be a problem for some of these guys. Tanvir is still talking about Audi. Okay, it will be tough for Audi to conquer F1 easily because in other series, the road cars are way more related than in F1. Yes, F1 is a completely different ball game. If you allow me this different sport metaphor. And Hank says, with Lewis's late braking style, he pitched the car so much and therefore ruined the necessary stable aero platform of the ground effect era. All the young guys who live in their home sim. Yeah, that's my theory anyway, you know? And there are older guys who do adapt more easily. Like, I think Alonso will get on top of it quickly. Um, yeah, but I'm glad most of you guys agree with me. Okay. In rank 6, we have Esteban Ocon and Oliver Behrman. Okay, I forgot the reasons I gave for this. It's actually quite high. Oh yeah, Behrman will shine because I've learned, yes, that Oliver Behrman likes the pointy front end and the loose rear that great drivers like Schumacher and Max Verstappen and Senna also liked. Yes, and for Behrman to have that already, and you can tell that he beat Ocon pretty badly this season, and I think that's going to get worse. And I think Ocon is going to be okay. So yeah, this driver lineup is okay on one hand, and I think Oliver Behrman is going to shine, and I think Behrman is going to be in my top 5 favorite drivers. I think I'm going to be following him very closely. So my favorite drivers are Max, Leclerc, Alonso, and Behrman. Yeah, those are my 5 favorites. And then I have a love-hate relationship with George Russell. I like Piastri, Oscar, I like him. Yeah, and then Hulkenberg, I like him. And yeah, there's Albon, Sainz, like them. And then somewhere in the middle, I like Norris. And then sometimes I don't. So also love hate. Tanvir says, I won't say them to be a blank canvas completely, as they also have quite a lot of muscle memory from junior formulas. Yes, but you know, an F4 car to an F3 car to an F2 car to an F1 car are 4 completely different worlds. And these guys, some of them do it year after year after year, you know? So I think they're more adaptable than a driver who's been driving V6 engines for 10 years, you know? So that's my theory anyway. Christina says, Ollie, the only British driver I like. So far. Because he could turn into a shithead as well. Yeah. Yeah, Albon is half British. Yeah. Yeah, he was born around London, wasn't he? Okay. Let's go to the next one. Oh, there he is. Albon and Sainz in rank 5. I keep saying Sainz, but it's Sainz. Okay, so on one hand, those two guys are super solid. Yes, they're fast. They have experience. They're nice guys. They can fight hard. They're smart. So 5 reasons why they're super solid. But they're also a bit crashy. You know, like Albon wrecked a car in Australia a couple of years ago, and he's been in quite a few tangles last season. And yeah, Carlos Sainz, he has the same problem. A lot of unnecessary weird incidents. Like I remember there was one with Lewis Hamilton, and I think that was in Baku, and there was one with Behrman where they both pirouetted, and there was one with Liam Lawson. And whenever I do a funny race review, there's always, Carlos Sainz almost crashing or actually crashing. So, yeah. I think P5 is not a bad place for a pairing to be, because we're going into the upper regions now. So, I don't think they can complain about being ranked the fifth pair on the grid, looking at what's ahead of them. Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh wait, let's go to the chat first. Lonely Cyclist says, my favorite pairing. Williams might end up top 5 this year, for sure. Well, they need to get the car working first, and so far they're missing the whole um, testing in Barcelona. They won't go. So that's that's not looking good. And then trying to fix all that stuff is gonna eat into the budget. So we might get a season where they put on a couple of upgrades in the first 10 races, and then that's them for the rest of the season. So yeah, I'm taking all this into account for next week when I do the drivers and the team predictions. Okay, okay, let's go to pairing number 4. Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton. Okay, well, this is simple, the explanation. One is exceptional, and the other one is over the hill. But yeah, P4 in a grid like that, it's still not that bad. But yeah, I saw an interview with Lewis Hamilton after they done the showing of the car in Furiano, and he's full of hopium again, and he says, "Oh, normally I don't look forward to testing, but this year I'm really excited. I'm excited about this season and everything it's going to bring." But first of all, Ferrari don't have the engine trick, so they're going to be slower than Red Bull and Mercedes, and I don't see any evidence of them building a super duper car. But anyway, that's going ahead of what I'm going to be talking about next weekend or next Saturday. I just want to talk about their um, ranking. Yeah, I think together they have like over 110 wins, which is crazy. So it should make them the best pairing on the grid. But unfortunately, with Lewis Hamilton's form, um, they're not. They're in P4. Uh, Tanver says Perez signs Baku. Oh yes, you're talking about the big crashes from Carlos Sainz. Yeah, that was a big one in Baku. Cost him the constructors. Hank says, I guess both are not the most talented, but put in a lot of work to get results. I think you're still talking about the Williams lineup. Christina says, for a team that obviously sacrificed the whole 2025 to be ready for testing, it is sort of embarrassing. It is quite embarrassing. But yeah, um, uh, it's obvious that the Williams team is not ready to operate at the top level yet, which isn't surprising because 2 years ago they went from spreadsheets to an official software program uh, to keep track of all their stock, all their equipment and stuff. So you know, yeah, maybe we're expecting a little bit too much from them, and maybe they're already punching above their weight. But anyway, um, I'm talking about the Ferrari duo here. Christina says, I am sick of Hamilton already, and the season has not even started. I'm just waiting on Hamilton to fall out with his new um, race engineer. Uh, I keep hearing that they might pry somebody away from McLaren. And if that's an Englishman, then the communication will be a lot easier. Like, I think Michael Schumacher had an English race engineer as well, didn't he? Did you guys all see my Max Verstappen compared to Schumacher video? Because I was expecting a little bit more of it, to be honest. I keep waiting for the first banger this season, but every video I make underperforms. But anyway, I'm a small channel, and I think if the first impressions aren't great for YouTube, then they drop it much quicker than normal, which is, yeah, a bit shit. Hank says, I like to watch Lewis ongoing struggle. A little smirk here. Yeah, we all do. Because, yeah, like, we shouldn't feel sorry for him, you know? Like, he's making 100 million a year, and he started believing in himself a little bit too much, and now he's planted back to planet Earth. Okay, Tanvir, I'm glad you did. You did watch my video. Christina says, but the poor guy will have no idea what to do in Ferrari if he comes to from McLaren. Well, that's interesting as well. You know, like, they have this Italian culture there, and then you drop another Englishman in there, and maybe this new engineer is going to be telling them what the Italians are doing wrong, and then he gets ignored because, yeah, you know, like, we're Ferrari, and Lewis Hamilton is like, I'm a 7-time world champion, and this race engineer might say, hey, I'm from England, you have to listen to me. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I know you watch my video, Hank. You always comment, but some of you don't always leave a comment. Christina, have you seen my Verstappen compared to Schumacher video yet? Don't remember a comment from you. Okay, let's go to the next team. In rank 3, I have Norris and Piastri. Okay, so what I've written down here is that they are very balanced. You know, Norris is slightly faster, but Piastri has a little bit more determination and a little bit more racecraft. So in that sense, they're very balanced. But the second thing I wrote down was make a difference. Are they two drivers that can flip a whole race around by doing something exceptional? I know Norris can't, you know. Yes, he had a lucky win. I don't know what race that was, where, you know, he was in such a shitty position. You know, might as well do a one stop, and that made him win the race. But yeah, I don't see them with a risky strategy forcing them to put in like a series of amazing laps, execute a brilliant strategy, you know. So in that sense, I don't see them making the difference. But still, P3 out of a grid of 11 teams is very good. And yeah, they're good, decent drivers, and you know, Piastri is going to improve because it's going to be his 4th year, and Norris might improve a little bit because he has more confidence with that number one on his car. Although it might bring extra pressure as well, move of a world champion, or people will be aiming for him because he's the guy to beat now. Um, Christina, you are rating the superior world driver champion Norris only P3. Be glad you don't have Norris girlies here. No. Um. Okay, Martin's gonna guess. Martin's gonna guess what I'm gonna do. Okay, let's make a poll out of it. Let me see. Which team have I got in P1? Mercedes. Hank says Piastri did some exceptional stuff last season. He's only starting his fourth season. Yeah, yeah. The fact that he was leading the championship so long, is amazing. And the thing that messed him up was getting that knock from Norris in Singapore. That messed him up. But I've got a video planned about that, so I don't want to talk too much about it. I don't want to spoil it for you. Christina says Piastri is exceptional at improving himself. He does massive leaps. Norris wasn't able to improve his own racecraft for years. No, well, Norris got on top of the car eventually towards the end of the season, and then he stayed pretty calm, even though there were races where he could have gotten more points. He was quite confident that it would come to him, and he didn't do any crazy shit anymore like he did in Canada. So I have to give him credit for that. At some point, he just let go, and he was like, "If Max gets me, then, so be it," and that calmed him down. So, yeah. But nobody's talking about Norris. Okay, Hank says Red Bull number one, Max is way better than George is, and now I regard Antonelli and Hadjar compatible. Okay. How many people have voted? Is everybody done voting? Because I'll stop it now. Okay. 6 votes. Okay. Yeah. Well, there's no conclusion to be made out of that then. If 3 people think it's Red Bull and 3 people think it's Mercedes. So the only thing I could do now is turn this thing on. Russell and Antonelli in rank 2. And the reason is that George Russell is the second best driver on the grid. He was for most of the season last season. And then Kimi Antonelli, he's got great potential. And he started to make things difficult for George Russell towards the end of the season. So if Antonelli isn't doing too much of his Talibantinelli stuff, and George Russell does his thing with the quickest engine, then I see no reason why they shouldn't be the second fastest pairing on the grid, you know? Yeah, don't do lotteries, Martin, because those things, in the end, you always lose. You know, the house always wins. So let's go to the number one then, which is not a surprise anymore. Verstappen and Hajar. Yeah, the Red Bull team has the best rookie driver and the best driver of the grid. It was voted by all different kinds of outlets that Max Verstappen was the best. You know, Autosport voted Max as the best driver, and they voted Hajar as the best rookie. So that pairing together in maybe not the fastest car, but in a decent car, will make them both shine. Max is adaptable. It's not. It's crazy how adaptable he is, and Hajar, well, he's only been in Formula One for 1 year in the ground effect era, so he doesn't have all that muscle memory. And I hear he likes a pointy front end as well. All these youngsters kind of have been pushed to like that more. So yeah, I have a lot of trust in this. I have a lot of trust in Red Bull in their lineup. Hey, Michael Croft. Until the cars show what they really have, the list will flip between the top three teams. Yes, but Michael, can I call you Crofty? Crofty. Um, this is just how I rank the individual drivers in their team and where that places the team. So this is not by any means the prediction for where the teams are going to finish. I'm going to do that next week. You know, I'm going to have 22 drivers. I'm going to place them all. And I'm going to have 11 teams and I'm going to place them all. And there's Scrollfinger talking about Max, the Sim King. Yeah. Christina says, I don't have much hope for Red Bull, honestly. They kept working on the 2025 car, even when other teams have already switched to 2026. That will hurt them. Yes, but they did the same thing in 2021 to give Max the best option to win the championship. And then they came out, you know, they came out with pretty much the best concept. Now you could say that's because Adrian knew he was there, but yeah, let's see what Pierre Rocher comes up with and Enrique Balbo. Hey, there's Aoife. Hiya, Aoife. A bit tardy, but I'll forgive you. Um, okay, Hank says Red Bull got their tools calibrated finally. This helps massively for the future. See? Um, yeah. Well, that was the content from my part. Let me watch it till the end. It's telling everybody to subscribe, but I assume you already are. But that's for the short I'm going to be placing tomorrow. Right, guys. So, have you any more topics you want to discuss? Christina says, well, Ferrari didn't make it much harder for Red Bull in the end by shooting themselves in the leg. No, Ferrari got a lot of issues, reliability issues, after Red Bull had them first in 2022. And then I think there was a TD, wasn't there, in 2022? TD 37. And they did that to hamper Red Bull. And then Mercedes and Ferrari were hampered the most by it. Oh, Hank wants us to like the live stream. Any other topics? What else have I heard? Uh, I had a bit of a moan today about F1 girlies. Uh, yeah, being really mean about Max and Kelly. Um, it's the parasocial thing that you see on social media a lot. So I just said if I see girlies that do that, then I block them, and I've so far blocked like half a dozen girls already because yeah, it's a bad element that those people bring to Formula One. Like it's bad enough that there's loads of fellas um, starting their sort of football hooligan type of going going about things with other fans, but then to have these women just completely destroying people over nothing is just stupid. Eva says Hulk's first win. That would be something, and that needs to be a crazy race for Audi to win in the first season of their existence in Formula One. But it would definitely would be a cool story. Eng says the Ferrari of 2022 was quite draggy. The power unit couldn't keep up and started barbecuing. Oh yeah, there was one of the cars that yeah that started burning, didn't it? Um, Tanver says parasocial relation is a problem in every major sports. The F1 movie has 4 Oscar nominations. I wonder if Oscar agrees. Yeah, Oscar only says Oscar. But I actually watched it again yesterday. I uh, I found it online somewhere, and yeah, I was doing stuff on my phone and on my computer while I watched it because I'd seen it already in the cinema. But I really enjoyed it. Um, I thought it was class when Sonny Hayes um, kept his car behind in the formation lap, and then he started driving. And then by the time he got there, his tires were warm, and he only had to wait a couple of seconds. And then he started overtaking everybody. And then he came out with a line like, you, you can't build a team on hope. That was another one. So yeah. Oh, you want? Do you want me to send you the link to the? Yeah, I'll sort it out for you, Martin. Um, Christina hasn't watched it. It's if you watch it with low expectations about the reality of it all, yeah, then then you can have a really fun watch. Honestly, there's a couple of really cool crashes in it, and it's nice to see the actual faces of Formula One drivers. And the story is basically a sports movie. It's like Rocky for F1. So I recommend it. But guys, it's 9 o'clock, so I'm gonna quit. Um, I'm writing a video about Max Verstappen. Wow, really? Yes. Which I'm probably gonna record tomorrow, and then I'll have it out by Monday because it's not a really long video. And then I've been asked to do a podcast with a couple of Australian guys. Uh, it's um, it's a channel called The Ground Effect. So I'm gonna do that towards the end of the week. And what else? I'm gonna be talking to Lollipop Man this week. about some ideas I have. Hopefully, I'll see that back in his videos. But for the rest, yeah, I've got nothing planned. Um, Keep an eye out on all the testing results or all the testing rumors because it's locked off. Right, everybody, take care now. Doei doei.